Well, it's been 3 days since the announcement of President Jacob Zuma's new cabinet, proving just how important this topic is. It's still the talk of the town, and we're getting to grips with who the new cabinet ministers are, who the new spokespeople are. And here in studio is the newly appointed national spokesperson of the ANC, Zizi Kodwa, taking over from Jackson and Temba. So good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much.
And I suppose a big congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling?
What a mixed bag of excitement, but also the challenges of the huge responsibility that comes with such an appointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, that you're no stranger to this. I mean, it's not a position that you haven't sort of experienced before. But what does it take to be the ANC national spokesperson?
Well, I've been the advisor to the president on communication. I've been the Youth League spokesperson, but to be the spokesperson of the ANC,
and I
would imagine that's something completely different.
Yeah.
Given the ANC standing, but also given its history, given the fact that it's a ruling party in government. So it carries a lot of responsibilities, the decorum, the aura, and so on. And I think some of the learning curves that as I take this responsibility, with that background of history of working in the industry, I think I'll be able to soldier on with some of the responsibility and expectations.
Is this a bigger position than the presidential spokesperson?
Well, from the ANC point of view, that is quite a senior position. Because remember, if it's not the president, the secretary general is a spokesperson who becomes the face of the organization, both in terms of these programs, whatever the organization that has to put in public. Yeah.
Okay, so a big task ahead of you, but we wish you all the best, and we know we're going to become very familiar with you, over this time ahead. How have you received some of the reactions? Or let's get your perspective of the reactions to some of the cabinet announcements that President Jacob Zuma made over the weekend.
I think some of the reactions were really expected. Some of them were premeditated, because I think what the president has done that people don't probably appreciate is that it's not so much about the numbers in the first instance of the number of the cabinet, is the program. If you look at what we have done since 2009, we have adopted 5 priorities. And the response of the numbers was based on that program, how best we implement the 5 priorities. What we also did, based on our evaluation of the performance of government of the past 5 years and the review of the past 20 years, was that we adopted again to continue with the priorities of 2009, the 5 priorities. Hence, you will see the president opted to retain a number of ministers who were appointed in 2009 for continuity.
Yeah.
In some portfolios, reconfigured them, in some, split some of those portfolios. It's part of continuity to make sure that we maximize on the achievement we've made. And people miss that point of about what program and objectives we seek to achieve in the next 5th administration under President Zuma.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the cost of the cabinet, because I think that's the story that some of the newspapers are talking about right now. From 2009 to now, President Jacob Zuma's cabinet, there were 63 in the cabinet. Now there's 73. The cost has gone up from 727 million to now over R1 billion. Can we really, as a country, afford such a big cabinet, an expensive cabinet?
Well, the question is, what can we afford? It's not so much about what can we not afford. But the question, I think, again, it ignores the fact I've just mentioned about what is it that government must do and what the cost of that. Democracy is expensive. And I think any responsible citizen will appreciate that if there is any understanding of what we need to do in order to reverse the legacy of apartheid, we do so many other things. I would imagine that even the cabinet that the president announced, there are a number of other things that he would have basically taken some decisions back in order to give this administration a benefit of doubt to see how best do we change and make sure that we take South Africa forward. But the issue of cost for me, I mean, the fact that it was in 2009, the issues of inflation and so on, it won't be the same as in 2009, even if you're talking about the numbers, but not in terms of the price. But for me, what is important, what is it that we seek to do with a smaller cabinet, with a bloated cabinet, with whatever? But from our point of view, the cabinet is not bloated. What is bloated is a program that the cabinet must achieve.
Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose that's to be seen, and we need to see how these ministers do perform in their various portfolios. I think the one minister that really did sort of come under a little bit of scrutiny was Tina Joemat-Pettersson being moved from her previous portfolio in fisheries into energy. It's a big portfolio, and some people feeling that this is not necessarily the right person for the job. What was in the president's mind when he was selecting these ministers? And let's perhaps look at Tina Joemat-Pettersson. What are the qualities that he feels that she can come in to try and improve the energy sector? That is a big sector for South Africa. Outages, energy is a massive, massive problem for us.
People always have judgments about individuals and their performances. I always make this point. In 1994, when the first President of the Republic became a president, there was a whole lot about certain comments in certain sections of the community about his competency, whether he's taking the country through the doldrums, he's never been in government, swat khefar, and so on. When Minister Manuel was appointed, similar comments were made. As a mere student, engineering students from the Peninsula Technikon. But later, all these individuals, they were hailed as a best statesman, as a best minister, and so on. That's why sometimes it's difficult to prejudge people even before they confirm or they perform their task. And I think what the president has done, having moved some ministers around, was not so much about judging them of their lack of performance in some of the portfolios. Some of them have done very well. To an extent that they've done very well, we have identified, I think the president has identified some weaknesses in some portfolios where these ministers who have done very well in the previous portfolios could do better. For example, you know that Minister Pravin Gordhan did well on finance. Yeah. And we have challenges on municipalities. And we think that having done so well, stabilized monetary policy and so on, and macro policies of the country, he can do better as well too to strengthen portfolio on COGTA. Same as other ministers. It's not so much about judging that they've performed badly on other portfolios. Tina Joemat, I don't think we must prejudge her on the performance that she has not even begun to do. And I think on the basis, acknowledging the fact that energy is a huge portfolio. And I think ministers are not individuals in portfolios, but ministers provide leadership. And therefore, with that collective, I'm sure she will do an excellent job, and she has done in other areas.
All right. Finally, wrap it up for me in a couple of seconds. President Jacob Zuma isn't shy when it comes to reshuffling his cabinet and getting rid of ministers that don't perform. Is he coming into this term with the exact same feeling?
He has made a commitment, you'll recall, when he was addressing the masses on Saturday during inauguration at South Lawns, that we only keep people in government who are performing. If you don't perform, I think he has done so before. So there's nothing new. And I think South Africans shouldn't be worried about if you don't perform. And in fact, it does not only apply to the cabinet, all spheres of government, as the ANC resolution. If you don't perform, unfortunately, you can't keep people who don't perform and give services to the people.
Good. We're happy to hear that. Zizi Kodwa, who is the newly appointed national spokesperson of the ANC. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to many more conversations with you. Thanks for coming in.
Please get me tomorrow as well.
All right, good. Don't promise us those things. All right, let's